The last name Reid has come to be a household name in the Newcastle Westbury community. Those of you not familiar with the name may wonder why. In 1962, while Nelson Rockefeller was New York State governor, like many other Black Americans, Julia and Luther Reid migrated to the hamlet of Newcastle by way of the inner city in search of a better quality of life. It is important to mention Governor Rockefeller because under his administration, an active prohibition of discrimination began in housing and places of public accommodation. Rockefeller outlawed job discrimination based on sex or age, increased by nearly 50% the number of African Americans and Hispanics holding state jobs, prohibited discrimination against women in education, employment, housing, and credit applications, and backed New York's ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. He outlawed blockbusting as a means of artificially depressing housing values. Mr. Reid, as a veteran of the United States Army and a United States Postal Service employee, and Mrs. Reid, as a New York City corrections officer, became prime candidates to be a part of the influx of civil service workers into suburban Long Island housing market. Thus, Mr. and Mrs. Reid and their three sons, Calvin, Martin, also known as Bunky, and Brian, became Newcastle homeowners. The Reids' move to Long Island was not free of obstacles and barriers of the time. For instance, Mrs. Reid was a captain in the New York City Department of Corrections, but her income could not be used to assist in securing a mortgage for their home because she was a woman. Nor could she secure a loan for her car without having a male cosigner. On one hand, Mrs. Reid excelled to the ranks of captain within her career, but as a woman, she still required a male to acquire anything of substantial material value. Not to mention, one income for consideration versus two incomes would heavily impact what areas of Long Island you could move into. Mrs. Reid and her husband were active members of the Progressive Civic Association of Newcastle, Inc., hosting cotillions in what was becoming a very diverse neighborhood, keeping abreast of grants and opportunities that would benefit the community as a whole. The Reids were committed to family and to serving the community. Julia later became a member of the Newcastle Westbury NAACP and has been an active member ever since. The Reids' middle son, Martin Bunky Reid, continued his family's legacy of service through education and sports. After graduating from Westbury High School in 1969, Bunky earned his BA at SUNY Oswego and later taught English at Westbury Middle and High School. Through his studies, Bunky became heavily influenced by Paul Robeson and used his life as a guide on how he would serve the youth of the Newcastle Westbury community and surrounding area. It's important to understand Paul Robeson was the son of a slave born in 1898 who used his abilities in sports to become the first African American to attend Rutgers University on an athletic scholarship. He then received his law degree from Columbia University and spent his life campaigning against social injustice. In 1979, Bunky was named as the boys' varsity basketball coach. 6 years later, in 1985, he coached his team to win the Nassau County title and the New York State championship. It was the first time the Westbury boys basketball team won a state championship. Coach Bunky Reid was respected by his fellow coaches not only for his exceptional coaching abilities, but also for the way his players conducted themselves on and off the court. After earning his master's in arts in school administration, Bunky became acting assistant principal at the Westbury High School in 1985 and was appointed to the position of assistant principal in 1988. He left a unique stamp on the lives of innumerable people. Coach Bunky Reid assisted countless numbers of students in attending college via athletic scholarships and became known for instilling a strong sense of civic mindfulness in the young men he mentored, officially and unofficially. Some of the young men mentored by Mr. Reid were Raymond Williams, who is a current principal at the Hicksville High School for the last 8 years. In Mr. Williams' word, Hicksville has become a potpourri of cultures coming together. Principal Williams completed his Bachelor of Arts degree at Adelphi University, his Master's of Arts and New York State Administration certificate at the College of New Rochelle. He spent 2 years teaching middle school physical education in East Hampton, and served as a dean in Westbury for 1 year. Paul Hewitt, in 2021, He was named the head coach of Agua Caliente Clippers, the NBA G League affiliate for the Los Angeles Clippers. Lemuel Braham and Mike Jackson, also known as surrogate sons of Coach Reid, have made notable contributions to Newcastle and Westbury and North Hempstead. In 2020, Lemuel Lem Braham was honored by the Town of North Hempstead for his contributions to the hamlet of Garden City Park for the pivotal role he played in the creation of the Garden City Park Homeowners Association that supports and helps local causes throughout the community. Currently, Lem serves as an association assistant to the president and works for the Town of North Hempstead Parks Department. Mike Jackson followed closely in the footsteps of his mentor, Coach Reid. In his senior year at Westbury High School, under Coach Reid's leadership, Mike captained the high school basketball team and was named All-Long Island Player. He earned his BA in Sociology from Hofstra University on an athletic scholarship. He continued the legacy of his mentor by teaching hundreds of athletes the ins and outs of basketball and using sports as a tool to accessing a college education. Mike Coach Jackson worked several years with youth through the Village of Westbury Recreation Department. On April 22, 1993, Martin Bunky Reid succumbed to his battle with colon cancer. He left behind a legacy as an impactful educator, an insightful coach, and a man whose guidance to respect self, strive for excellence, and value the power of lifting up those around you reaches way beyond the boundaries of Newcastle and Westbury and the surrounding area. Coach Mike Jackson formed the Bunky Reid All-Stars in tribute to his high school coach, mentor, and father figure. Mike voluntarily accepted the deeply appreciated the opportunity to serve youth from at-risk communities. Coach Jackson currently works for the Union-Free Westbury School District as a consultant, helping to bridge the gap between students, academics, and athletics. A similar passion his mentor held and holds a supervisory position with the Town of North Hempstead in close proximity to the Martin Bunky Reid Park, formerly known as Newcastle Park. The park was renamed in 1993 after Coach Reid's passing and spearheaded by Martin's mother, Mrs. Reid. Strongly advocating to memorialize her son's legacy as such an impactful stakeholder in the community and in the very park he mentored so many in. 28 years later, like its namesake, Martin Bunky Reid Park remains a dominant outdoor activity recreation space within Newcastle and the Westbury community. The biological mother of three, grandmother to three, and great-grandmother to one, Ms. Julia Reid remains in the Newcastle Westbury community and still is considered a major voice and stakeholder within the community. In a recent interview, when asked what advice do you have for young people currently in the community, Ms. Reid replied, "Look how far we've come. Take advantage of every opportunity and continue to push forward." The Reid family is the epitome of the power a Black family has in creating a legacy of greatness and commitment to uplifting those that come along with you and those that come after.